Within the last 6 years, business registrations at the Chamber of Commerce has fluctuated greatly. Find out how 2013 panned out for the island. Plus, in today's lifestyle segment, the foods you should eat to increase fertility. And CMB offers up their financial perspective for the year 2013. 15 on 15 starts right now.
Thanks for joining us. I'm Yentl Lieuw. On today's show, we have numbers from the past 6 years of businesses registering at the Chamber of Commerce. The information dates back to 2008, and there is a significant difference in terms of growth and decay as the years go on. Take a look.
Over the last 6 years, corporate NV registrations has decreased over the years. The opposite has been occurring for limited liability company registrations. The Chamber of Commerce has seen an increase of VBA over the years. Zach, which is sole proprietorship, has fluctuated within the last 6 years, and 2013 was the year most people registered for. The number stood at 833. In the business category of miscellaneous, which includes associations, partnerships, and nonprofit organizations, saw the most registrations in 2008, but since then the numbers have fluctuated. In 2008 altogether, the registrations for all business sectors was steady. There was a dip from 2008 to 2009, which was the year of the economic recession. But since 2009, the total registrations to start a business has increased, making last year the best year yet within the last 6 years.
It's important to note that although the total number of businesses being registered at the Chamber of Commerce is growing, the number of people going for an NV has decreased. An NV requires a substantial amount of investment and risk, and over the years, more people have chosen the route of limited liability company. This is one of the few indications that Aruba's economy hasn't quite bounced back completely. Speaking of corporate businesses, in 2001, the government of Aruba signed a protocol for Renovation Aruba. This is a collaboration between the government and financial institutions that promises to benefit both parties as well Orangstad.
The collaboration between the government of Aruba and the financial institutions on the island is called Renovation Aruba NV. The objective is to have financial institutions invest a certain amount of money. The money will then be put towards this NV to renovate and revitalize buildings in the city. A complete makeover for Orangstad is the goal. The government chooses and provides the property to be renovated. Once the construction is completed, the property can be rented or sold. This is an idea based in Amsterdam, in which Willemstad Curaçao has taken over for 10 years now. Aruba is now adopting the concept after evaluating the positives and negatives.
The financial institutions will receive 5% interest when the property is sold or rented out. Moving forward in other local news, January 25th is Batiko Day, which is coming up. The Historical Museum, together with Fort Zalman, has one objective in mind for this year's holiday, and that is to emphasize the importance of children learning about their family history as well as heritage. The best way for them to go about this, according to them, is to simply start up a conversation with their grandparents or elderly in the family and ask questions.
On Saturday, Fort Zalman will be hosting an expo put together by children. The purpose of this mission is to have the kids be interested in talking about their family history. According to Zahira Zandam, Aruba's education system is not providing as much knowledge on the students' cultural heritage as much as the Historical Museum desires.
I do feel that it's very important that the history in Aruba, we noticed this during our research, it's very difficult to get to information. In the archives there's some, the library there's some, but the whole lot of information is still in people's houses, through oral history, grandmothers tell, but we are losing that tradition of sitting at grandma and listening to stories. And with every elderly person that dies, a part of our history, the information goes away. So it's very imperative that we start with documenting not only the broad lines of our history, but also the details that are so very important for us to understand our community, our society today.
After the project is completed and a great turnout attends the expo, organizers are hoping more family discussions will take place between the children, parents, aunts, uncles, grandparents, and even great-grandparents.
The objective of this project was to have a peer-to-peer way of working, so that the kids tell their history also to the kids, not us telling their history. We hope that at least 90% of the kids visiting our expo go home and ask their families, but what is our oldest object? What is the oldest tradition in our family? And get families talking. That's important. I mean, it's important for us to have it in the museum, but it's even more important to make people aware of what they carry along with them as heritage, because it reflects every day in our society.
The expo, put together by children, will be opened on Saturday, Batiko Day, from 10 a.m. on. We'll have more when we come back. Stay with us. Welcome back from the break. Did you know that there are certain foods that can help extend your fertility? Granted, your ability to conceive depends largely on your genes, but you can start making conception-friendly diet choices up your odds. The first step toward a healthier reproductive system is balancing your hormones through diet. Here are some food items to add to your grocery list.
Avocados boosts fertility. It is high in monosaturated fats, which could improve fertility. Sunflower seeds, on the other hand, are rich in zinc. A handful 3 times a week can help balance the reproductive hormones that lead to high-quality human eggs. Moving on to cinnamon, a spice that has insulin-reducing powers and may help increase your ovulation rate. Next on the list are eggs. Eat them in poached or soft boiled form twice a week. Keeping the yolk runny preserves their vitamin D and B6 content, both of which spur the reproduction of progesterone and hormone necessary for pregnancy.
Hopefully that was helpful. Moving forward, there is something that happens to men after they get married. 25% of married men in the U.S. are more likely to gain weight than single guys, and this isn't necessarily a bad thing. I'll tell you why. In the research, there wasn't a significant difference in food consumption and physical activity amongst the different groups of men. So the question is, why do they gain more weight after they tie the knot? And the answer is not so bad. Men feel way more comfortable with their relationships and worry less about their figures, meaning having someone who loves and supports you and realizes your looks are just one small aspect of you would help anyone stress less about a few extra pounds, regardless of gender. If you notice your partner gained a few pounds since you coupled up, it may not be such a bad thing. And speaking of which, it's hard to feel sexy when you are overweight, but a new study reveals that normal weight people who thought of themselves as overweight were more likely to end up that way. Sexy is just a state of mind.
Yes, the perfect word to describe her is probably sexy. But feeling sexy is the first step in being sexy. Research shows that when women harp on their imperfections, it is surprisingly an unhealthy habit, one that can actually alter your physical appearance. A new study found that normal weight people who viewed themselves as fat were more likely to end up overweight. So, always think sexy.
The pitfalls go beyond the scale. Low self-image can hinder friendships, job prospects, and overall well-being. So next time, take a look at yourself in the mirror and believe, just like the song says, that you are too sexy for everything. On that note, we will be right back. This is what's coming up next. To detect the island's economic standings and financial prosperity, the most credible source to turn to is the bank. Banks are able to gather educated projections for the next year determined by previous indications and financial figures. CMB overall expects this year to be a better one than 2013. Here is the managing director, Javier Walter's projections for the new year. His stance is backed up by infrastructure accomplishments, the public sector, and tourism.
Javier Walter is the managing director of CMB. He says the infrastructure projects that were completed in 2013 will ultimately enhance Aruba's economy for this year.
But most important is our own people too, right? They're Aruban and they're good in planning. Watch our Main Street here. It took longer than ever, but it's there. Look, the linear park. It took longer than expected, but it's there. And see the Ritz-Carlton, it's completed, it's open. So in Aruba, projects that start, they do finish them. It's not like in other countries where they start and whatever happens and they never finish. No, there may be delays, there may be things. So, but these projects are accomplished, and that's something very important.
In terms of the public sector, the bank estimates that more investors will be intrigued to do business in Aruba, thanks to the initial connection the public sector made last year.
Then we have the public sector, right, that we admire their aggressiveness in developing new projects, especially in the construction sector, but also the other projects, let's say, attracting investors to Aruba, using Aruba as a bridge to the Latin America and vice versa. All those are very positive things that in 2014 hopefully we'll start seeing the fruits of them.
Tourism accounts for 80% of the island's economy. It is expected that this sector will continue to prosper and grow well into 2014.
The hotel sector is doing very well. There have been, again, change in ownership of some of the hotels. But, you know, looking at the prospect 2014, tourism is projected 6%, so the hotel will get a good share of that. So hopefully most of these hotels will do very good. So overall, very optimistic for 2014. And I guess if everybody's working in the same direction, 2014 will be a better year.
That's our show for today. Thank you for joining us. We'll be back here with a brand new edition of 15 on 15 starting Thursday night at 7:15 p.m. So be sure to join us right here on Channel 15 ATV. We'll see you then.